evening and welcome to 1TV Global News, Port Harcourt Center, coming to you live from Megaband 97.3 FM. I am Esther Chimize. First, the headlines. River State government vows to prosecute House of Rep member Chinyere Igwe over the illegal bunkering. Nigeria Labour Congress backs ASU's insistence on payment of withheld salaries. Federal government begs doctors and nurses to remain in Nigeria. Angolans will on Wednesday vote in polls expected to be the most competitive since the country's first multi-party vote in 1992. And the news in details will be right back shortly after this break. Welcome back, and now the news in details. The River State government has said no amount of blackmail will deter it from prosecuting the lawmaker representing Port Harcourt Federal Constituency 2, Honorable Chinyere Igwe, whose filling station was sealed for illegal oil bunkering activities. The Chief of Staff to River State Governor Emeka Woke disclosed this during a permanent voters' card sensitization and mobilization rally by a pro-PDP group, the Grassroots Development Initiative in Mogho, Gokana local government area of the state. Woke insisted that the state government has constitutional obligation to decisively deal with anyone involved in acts inimical to the Nigerian economy. Woke cited this in a statement issued by his media office and made available to newsmen on Monday. While urging the federal lawmaker to submit himself to security agencies for interrogation, Woke warned him to desist from misleading the unsuspecting public with spurious claims that he was being politically victimized. He further took a swipe at Igwe for making derogatory remarks about the state governor, Nyesom Wike, saying, but for the governor's benevolence, the federal lawmaker would have gone into political extinction. A chieftain of the All Progressives Congress APC in Rivers State, Prince Will Dike, has dumped the party for the People's Democratic Party PDP, stating that the APC was not working to win elections. Dike, who was a close associate of the immediate past Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, opined that he decided to leave for the PDP because all his outcry that the Rivers APC was heading for the doom was ignored by the party. Dike, who was also a special assistant on student affairs during Amechi's term as a governor, said all his advice on how to rescue the party were ignored. He said his decision to move to PDP and work with Governor Nyesom Wike was because Wike has performed excellently in the state, especially in the areas of infrastructural development. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, has promised to create a conducive environment for investors, saying the government does not have enough infinite resources. Atiku made a remark at the opening ceremony of the 2022 Nigerian Bar Association Annual General Conference. The former vice president, who also spoke about the state of education in Nigeria, believes devolving the sector is one sure way to make things better. Nigerian novelist Chimamanda Adichie says the country does not have heroes who will inspire its younger population. Adichie made the comment in a keynote address at the annual general meeting of the Nigerian Bar Association in Lagos State. According to the author, Nigerians should be open to self-criticism. This, she said, will engender good leadership in the nation. The award-winning writer was one of the several guests at the conference, which has the theme Bold Transitions. In education, the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, has supported the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, insistence on the payment of the withheld salaries of its members as a condition for ending its over 6-month-old strike. The umbrella union said it was unfair for the federal government to invoke a no-work, no-pay rule on university teachers who were not the architects of the lingering strike. Urging the government to tone down its rhetoric and be more accommodating, the NLC warned that its threat to embark on the nationwide strike over the lockdown of the universities had not been ruled out. Head of Informations of the NLC, Bensi Upa, disclosed the union's position as students suggested public-private partnership PPP as a way of ending the crisis in the university system. Some students have appealed to the federal government and Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, to resolve their differences as they suggest public-private partnership to fund the university system. The students, who recounted losses caused by the 6-month strike by ASU, continued to express serious concern over the situation, saying the long stay at home had inflicted permanent injuries on them and damages to the education system. They made the appeal in separate interviews with newsmen in Abuja. Kojo suggested that for the issue to be resolved, ASU and the Education Ministry should engage global monetary agencies to assess on ending, or better still, the education sector should be privatized for proper management. In health, the federal government has reiterated its assurance that measures are being deployed to address the brain drain in Nigeria. Minister of State for Health, Joseph Ekumakama, spoke with reporters at the Federal Medical Center, Ebute Meta. He inaugurated the Orthopedic and Trauma Center, Molecular Building Complex, Oxygen Gas Plant, Clinical Training Center, and Ultra-Modern Theater. Ekumakuma admitted that the mass relocation of health personnel was a problem and was worrisome. The minister appealed to them to remain in Nigeria to see the efforts of the government. He added that the government in the last 3 years released 100% of health budgets. And you are on to the global news on One TV Network Port Harcourt Center Committee. You're live from Megaband 97.3 FM. Still ahead, Angola's ruling party faces tight poll test. The rest of the news will be right back shortly after this break. Welcome back. In business, Nigeria's trade surplus declined month-on-month by 50.8% to $913 million in April 2022 from $1.89 billion in March. This is as a result of an 8.4% fall in total trade to $10.79 billion in April from $11.78 billion in March. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, disclosed this in its monthly economic report for April, which stated that crude oil export receipts fell by 15% to $4.51 billion in April from $5.32 billion in March. 6 international oil companies are to remit a total of 442.37 billion naira in August 2022, being proceeds from the sale of domestic crude oil in May 2022. The figures obtained from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC, explained that the 422.37 billion naira was for 8.887 million barrels of oil for May 2022 domestic crude payable in August 2022, adding that the 6 companies were joint venture partners of the National Oil Company. It outlined the companies to include Chevron Nigeria Limited, Mobil Producing Nigeria, and Nigerian Petroleum Development Company, the flagship upstream subsidiary of NNPC. Others include Total Exploration and Production Nigeria, First Exploration and Production, as well as Adax Petroleum. In entertainment tonight, Chiomzi, Big Brother Naija housemate, has emerged head of house for the 5th week of the reality TV show. This was announced by Biggie, the coordinator of the show, upon the completion of the head of house task on Monday. Chiamzi was the first housemate to move the most dunkwa from one point to the other. During the game, all the male housemates were disqualified because they carried more than one dunkwa at a time. Bella, who came second, competed in a tube game with winner Chomzi, but the latter won. Chomzi chose Elo Swag to share the benefit of the head of house room. The duo both have immunity from nomination this week. Recall that Biggie on Sunday merged all the housemates into a single house. He announced that all levels have collapsed and no more level immunity in the house. Still in entertainment, Kim Kardashian and celebrity neighbors, including Sylvester Stallone, have been handed warnings for repeatedly flaunting water restrictions at their homes in Drought Hill, California. Street water limits imposed as the western United States endures its 23rd successive year of drought, worsening by human-caused climate change, are in place across swathes of Southern California, including the affluent neighborhoods of Calabasas and Eden Hills. But more than 2,000 residents of the two Glimpsy enclaves north of Los Angeles, known for their sprawling green lawns and giant swimming pools, are continuing to breach the limits, often by eye-watering amounts. According to reports, celebrity reality stars Kim and Kourtney Kardashian were among repeat offenders in June, citing notices obtained via a public record act's request. On a foreign scene, Mali's military junta has appointed a Colonel Abdoulaye Maiga as the interim replacement for the country's civilian prime minister, who has been admitted to hospital. Colonel Maiga is also a government spokesman and Minister of Territorial Administration and Decentralization. His appointment was announced in a decree read on state television late Sunday. He provisionally replaces a veteran civilian politician, Chongwell Kokala Maiga, who is 64 years, who was named premier after the junta, which took power in August 2020 and carried out a second coup in May 2021. Maiga, who shares the same names as his interim successor, had served several times as a minister in previous governments. He was an unsuccessful candidate in presidential elections in 2002, 2013, and 2018. Millions of Angolians will vote on Wednesday in polls expected to be the most competitive since the country's first multi-party vote in 1992, but with electoral fraud a concern among voters. A youthful and largely poor electorate will decide whether to continue with the liberation movement that has ruled since independence or embrace change with the opposition led by a charismatic coalition builder. 8 political parties are standing, but the real contest is between the ruling People's Movement for the Liberation of Angola, MPLA, and its long-standing rival and former rebel movement, and the National Union for the Total Independence of Angola, UNITAL. Stakes are high for MPLA, now led by incumbent President João Lourenço, who was first elected in 2017 and is seeking a second term. On sports tonight, Erik ten Hag secured his first win as Manchester United manager as goals from Jadon Sancho and Marcus Rashford beat Liverpool 2-1 at Old Trafford. United have started the weekend bottom of the Premier League, but moved above Liverpool on a massive night for their new Dutch manager. Liverpool's expected title challenge is fading fast, with Jurgen Klopp's men yet to win 3 games into the new season. United fans began the evening by marching on Old Trafford in protest at the decade of decline overseen by the club's owners, the Glazer family. And that's much we have for now. Before we go, let's take a look at the major headlines. Rivers State government vows to prosecute House of Rep member Chinyere Igwe over illegal bunkering. Nigeria Labour Congress backs ASU's insistence on payment of withheld salaries. Federal government begs doctors and nurses to remain in Nigeria. Angola's will on Wednesday vote in polls expected to be the most competitive since the country's first multi-party vote in 1992. Thanks for joining us. I am Esther Chimize. Do have a wonderful evening.